for Secretary Duque, do you confirm that you had a number of expired testing kits that were delivered by Pharmally? Because 6 months yung expiry date, maraming hindi nagamit at marami ang nag-expire.
No, Mr. Chairman, I'm not aware of that. If I may
I'll
just
make you aware of
kindly
it, Secretary. I'll make you aware of it. A letter dated 7 December 2020, signed by Assistant Secretary of Health Nestor Santiago. This was directed to Attorney Lloyd Christopher Lau, and the DOH was requesting a rescheduling of the delivery of Pharmally testing kits because the test kits that were delivered expired, hindi nagamit.
What date was that, Senator Pangilinan?
December 2020, December 7, 2020. It's signed by Nestor Santiago Jr., MD, MPHS, and let me quote.
The bulk of the sale was done April and May.
Yes, and let me quote the.
It's a valid question, Secretary Duque. Can you answer?
Yes, forgive me. I was trying to recall, but many things in my on my plate. And if I may request,
the question, Mr.
ASEC,
President.
if I may just request respectfully, ASEC Nestor Santiago to please.
Yes,
if I may just Santiago answers Senator Pangilinan, you have a follow-up.
Okay.
What's your follow-up, Senator?
Maybe he can answer it first, Mr. President. Mr.
Santiago, you want to answer, Director Santiago? ASEC Santiago?
Sir, if I may see the letter po.
Well, yeah, okay. You signed it. If I may just continue before he sees the letter. And I quote, currently the whole laboratory network is consuming an average of 1,000 to 1,500 testing kits per month. And the demand may not increase based on our forecast. As of this writing, we still have enough BGI testing kits until March. The proposed delivery schedule, because they wanted a new delivery schedule, precisely because marami na silang testing kits, will prevent the repeat of the past scenario where a large number of stored BGI kits expired because the DOH agreed in violation of their own technical specifications that it has to be 24 to 36 months. The DBMPS, together with the DOH, in violation of the technical specifications they themselves provided, accepted Pharmally's testing kits that were due to expire after 6 months. And the other point, Mr. Chair, is that they paid in full. They paid for testing kits that specifications provided that it should be 24 to 36 months. They paid in full for testing kits that were due to expire in 6 months. Industry insiders will say when it is expiring in 6 months, you have as much as 25% discount for these nearly expiring testing kits delivered by Pharmally, and yet the full amount was paid. That is overpriced, Mr. President. Not just overpriced, that is also using equipment that is substandard or at least lacking in the necessary shelf life to be able for us to be able to effectively deal with COVID, avoid deaths and sickness.
In other words, it was going to affect the accuracy of the test. Is that what your point is, Senator Pangilinan?
Accuracy of the test and expired. Binili na po natin napaka-ikli ng panahon. Hindi nagamit, nag-expire. Bakit natin binili ng 6 months expiry? Tapos hindi nagamit, nag-expire. So yung ginastos natin, hindi natin nagamit. Para tayong nagsusunog ng pera sa gitna ng napakaraming namamatay.
Mr. Chairman,
this letter was addressed to Christopher Lau, dated 7.
Senator Pangilinan, I just don't want to get away from your very important point. No? But I'll let Secretary Duque first answer. Do you have an answer, sir?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, tama po that the DOH did require a 24 to 36 months for extraction kits to be procured and 12 to 24 months for real-time RT-PCR kits. Pero kasi ang naging problema ho rito, yung manufacturers of these novel test kits have indicated an actual shelf life of 6 months only. Kasi ayaw naman namin bumili pagka hindi na siya angkop doon sa amin mismong requirement. The problem is, yung availability at saka yung kanilang communication sa amin na 6 months lang talaga ang nito, ang kanyang pwede expiry dahil bago, hindi pa nila maasabi yung stability nito, yung studies. And these test kits were only developed in the early months of 2020, and there was no stability and performance data that evidence that these kits could be stored and used for longer periods for 6 to 12 months. Bago ho kasi ito ang talagang dilemma dito. And the manufacturers also could not guarantee an expiry past 6 months to all their users, including the DOH. No po? And for your reference, we would like to attach the photographs shared to us by the PS-DBM of the real-time RT-PCR kits delivered to the DOH, indicating the 6-month expiration period. Eh sino ba naman ho ang may gusto nito kung alam ba natin na talagang meron na 12 to 24? Bakit pipiliin natin yung mas maiksi? It doesn't make sense, Your Honor. But
Why
we had
did
no
you not negotiate for a lower price? Why didn't you negotiate for a lower price when that
Well,
is
that was
industry
PS
practice? When that is
Yeah,
industry practice, that if it is
Yes, Your Honor.
nearing expiring, you can get as much as 25% steep discount. Why wasn't the DOH or the DBMPS looking out for our money and making sure that we get a better discount and use, Mr. Chairman, if it's 25%, we could have had an additional 1.2 billion pesos
That's
based
correct.
on
That
industry
means
practice.
it's on PS-DBM, the purchaser, because they ordered for 24 months, di ba? 12 to 24 months, di ba?
Yes,
Not
but the
exceeding by
that's
6
correct. But
months.
the
So,
inspection, Mr. Chairman, the inspection reports include, I mean,
DOH.
it's a joint inspection.
That's correct. So
DOH.
both of them, but the principal buyer should have been responsible enough to see that this was not consistent with the standards set by the Department of Health.
And if I may share again, if I may share another industry player, insider says, malay ba natin kung pinulot lang yan sa mga Chinese laboratories dahil mag-e-expire na at dapat sunugin na.
All right. The point has been very well made. I think that is very clear to everyone. And you're right. Secretary Duque, I have to ask you this. Bakit mo nilagyan ng presyo? Kasi na, let's say, 2,000 pesos or in the case of yung mga ibang kung nilagyan mo 28 pesos sa yan. Ba't mo kailangan ilagay yan? So, ang ginawa lang nitong silaw, anything below 2,000, swak na. And in fact, that is exactly what happened. They were buying at 1,980, 1,910, at April 3, nabili sila ng 1,700, sa Suhaw, nabili sila April 3, 1,700, 1,768, isa 1,785, April 7, 1,767, itong Nika Trading 1,980, Pacific Field 1,900. So, ibig sabihin, lalo na walang bidding ito, Secretary Duque, negotiate ito, sabi-sabi lang, laway-laway lang yan, ha? O sige, kunin nyo na yan, basta binigay nyo sa akin below 2,000, swak na. Ito kung gano'n rin lamang, sana ginawa mo 1,500 or 1,700, baka nakakuha pa tayo ng presyo. Saka sila magsabi na hindi nila makukuha ng gano'n yun. Anyway, emergency purchase yan eh. Hindi naman kailangan na cut and dry na yun ang gagawin mo, kailangan may rules, di ba? So it
Mr.
allows
Chairman,
people to take advantage of a bad situation.
no, No, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. The basis for the pricing point that was established by the DOH use a historical pricing points. For example, in 2018, the cost of PPE then 1,900 pesos per set. And then in 2019, it went down to 1,700 pesos per set. And in 2020, the ABC that was established was at 2,000 per set, Mr. Chairman. And in 2016, if you look at it, it was 3,800 per set completed PPE, and in 2015, it was in fact 3,500, Mr. Chairman.
Nonetheless, intrinsically, it became intrinsically overpriced because sinabi niya nga 2,000. But let me just give you another example. For example, dito sa Lau can answer this if he wants to. On 22 April, government procured BGI test kits, all right, from Pharmaly. Pharmaly lahat eh. All right? Ang bilhin nila Secretary Duque is 1,500 per test at 75,000 price per test. All right? On June 9, they bought it at 41,400 kits or 69,500,000. Sorry, 75 million yung kanina. 50 tests per kit. 1,390 pesos per test. Ito naman ang binili ng Red Cross sa Sansure. Hindi ko maintindihan ba't hindi pa tayo nagsama noon. Binili lang natin lahat sana sa Sansure. Because sa Sansure, Mr. President, Mr. Secretary, bumili tayo ng 2,000 kits at ang presyo 750 pesos per test kits. Masakit yun. 750 ang test kits, binibili niya ng 1,513.90. Walang pumito. Bakit pinipili ni Secretary Lau itong Pharmaly na ahente lamang na nagpapatong o kukuha doon sa meron dyan, magpapatong yun, nagpatong rin yung kabila at hindi natin alam kung sino nag-supply. Baka sila Michael Yang na nag-supply, wala namang masama doon. Dapat malaman natin yung punot dulo dyan. Di po ba?
Chairman.
Yes, Senator Rish.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dagdag lang dun sa tanong ni Chairman, bukod sa ba't hindi na lang nag-procure sa Sansure na mas mura, kahit kung parehong brand, BGI, other countries, Mr. Chairman, and other international NGOs, nakabili ng BGI mas mura. Pati ng MGI test kits na sister product, sister company, dun sa BGI na pinrocure ng PS-DBM through Pharmaly. Kaya yung sinabi din ni Sen Kiko kanina, overpriced talaga, Mr. Chairman, kahit sa loob lang ng isang brand ng MGI na iyan. Salamat, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair,
I
can we
just
just
want
go
to
back
thank that the audience know na the senators can always come in. Kaya lang, as chairman, kami yung kumakalap, so nagdidirect kami kung paano lalabas. Now, I'm glad that Senator Pangilinan and Senator Antiveros and Senator Dillon, everybody can come in anytime.
Yes.
We're just saying na para in the interest of a focused discussion, hindi tayo kaliwa kanan. Lumalabas yan, nakikita natin yung mga clearly na overpriced. Yung intrinsically overpriced, tapos nilalamangan tayo ng PS-DBM at saka nitong Pharmaly. Kaya talagang imbis na mas mura, lumaki ang nagastos. Alright?
Just to go back to Mr. Santiago, Assistant Secretary Santiago, has your memory been refreshed? Do you confirm that there were expired BGI testing kits delivered by Pharmaly, and that's precisely why you asked for a rescheduling of deliveries? Allow me to repeat. The proposed delivery schedule will prevent the repeat of the past scenario where a large number of stored BGI kits expired. And then you sent this to Mr. Lau, and you copy furnished Mohit Dargani, Assistant Secretary Santiago. Do you confirm there were expired testing kits? A large amount?
Yes, sir. There were expired kits po. I confirm.
How many were expired?
As per my record, there were 7,925 test kits.
How many?
7,921 test kits.
7,000.
925. 7,925 test
Yeah.
kits po.
and in the middle of a situation wherein we were not testing enough. Thank you.
Yes, at that time,
Yes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
we still don't have enough laboratories.
And when you say kits, is
Okay.
this, is that 7,000? Is that 50 per kit?
Depends on the brand, sir.
Yes, but what is it? Can you give us the idea? If there were, kasi nakalagay dito, 41,000 kits, 50 test kits per kit. So if that's 7,000, is that 50 tests per kit? In other words, around 35,000 testing kits? I mean, yeah, test.
Sir, I cannot remember the number of kits, but I cannot remember also if this is only just for BGI. May I just confirm with my record, sir?
Yes, can you please, we would like to know if this is, what's the number again? 7,000?
7,925.
925. So I'd like to know if this 7,925 is 7,925 kits total, or is this 7,925 kits that have 50 tests per kit? Otherwise, that would have been 35,000 at 1,200 pesos o 2,000 pesos. Malaking pera yun. Dahil 6 months ang
Actually,
expiry date niya.
371.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Just an additional information. That time, sir, talagang all the kits were only having a shelf life of 6 months.
Yes.
But I think based on my record, it says 371,794 tests.
371,000 of the delivered Pharmaly kits expired.
Sir, I am not really sure if this is delivered by Pharmaly because it's a PS-DBM order.
No, but you wrote and you copy furnished Mr. Mohit Darhani. So I assume these are Pharmaly kits. Okay. Diba? Diba? So
Yes, sir. But I don't know if we
Ayan.
only ordered BGI in Pharmaly. Can I see the letter po?
yes, we will give you a copy of the letter. And Mr. Lao also wrote, diba? He also wrote Dargani. Attention, Mohit Dargani, request to delay the delivery of test kits. So it's Pharmaly. Your memory, I understand, no? 2020 pa ito, so hindi mo lang siguro maalala, but it's Pharmaly there. No? This has reference to the ongoing supply and delivery of 2,000 plus kits with contract, etc. for 41,000 BGI. In this regard, end user is requesting for an adjustment in the schedule. So it was addressed to Mohit Dargani, signed by Christopher Lao. So in this context, what we're saying is 371,000 test kits expired. And that's why your technical specification required 24 to 36 months. Because to avoid something like this. Hindi po ba? So the
Mr.
technical
Chairman.
specifications, may basis, may dahilan yun eh. Di ba? So bakit pinayagan natin na mag-deliver ang Pharmaly ng hindi compliant, di ba? Sa technical specifications, tapos binayaran pa ng full na dapat sana na diskwento. Tapos hindi na diskwento, binayaran ng buo, hindi compliant, tapos 371,000 ng mga testing kits ang hindi na magamit.
Mr. Chairman, if I may be allowed to just make a rejoinder. Mr. Chairman, the 12 to 24 month expiry period was a pre-pandemic requirement. And as I've said earlier, bago po kasi itong virus na ito, pati yung mga gumagawa ng mga test kits had to rely on evolving information. as to the stability of the test kits. Hindi naman nila pwedeng sabihin, o pwedeng 12 months yan, o 16 or 24 months, na wala naman silang stability studies. Very technical po eh.
Yeah, well, but with due respect, Mr. Secretary, you already mentioned that. You know, that's why we already countered. Why didn't you renegotiate for a lower price? Anyway, negotiated bid yan eh. Bakit tinanggap? Dapat nag-negotiate. Kasi nga, up to 25% ang discount. So, hindi na nag-negotiate. Tapos, ayun na nga, bumili ng bulto-bulto na ganun karami at nauwi sa 371,000 nung mga kits na yun na dapat sana ay napakinabangan ng ating mga kababayan para alam nila kung may sakit sila o wala. Diba? Ay hindi nagamit at nag-expire na. I get your point, but you know, unfortunately, with due respect, Mr. Secretary, your clarification is not enough. I mean, at least for this representation. I hope you understand.
Mr. Chairman, as I have said earlier, talagang yung expiry period was just 6 months, no? It's not as if it was nearing, we got it because it was nearing expiry period. It was really just 6 months.
Secretary, I hope you also understand. You're trying to explain the situation when you know, it wasn't you who made these negotiations. 'Di ba? Hindi naman ikaw ang humarap sa Farmally. So I hope you understand if your explanation you know, leaves much to be desired. Kasi pag hindi niyo na ipapaliwanag, pinapasa niyo sa iba. Hindi ba? Tapos pagka pinapasa niyo sa iba, tapos pinapasabi niyo na iba ang sumagot. So I hope you understand the billions that were purchased by DBM PS in negotiation with Farmally, you were not involved there. So siguro if you were involved, baka sakaling naayos ito at naiwasan.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Pangilinan.
lastly, Mr. Chairman, I just want to make a correction, Mr. Chairman. Yung pagkakaintindi ko kasi yung test kits were about 7,925. And I'm not sure if ASEC Nestor was saying that depends on the brand. There are X number of tests for every test kit. Okay, so if the total tests being referred to is 371,794, you divide this by 7,925. So that would be about, tama, siguro mga 45 to 50 tests per kit. Yun lang po, Mr. Chairman, just to set it record straight. Thank you.
I will try to be very fast now para malaman niyo sa tayo pupunta. I would like to ask the BIR to submit to us, we're going to subpoena them, the income tax return, and we will do it in executive session of all the Farmally executives, Mr. Lau, Mr. Yang, and Lin Xiong, Lin Xiong, and his wife, and I will explain later. Will the committee back us up in terms of making sure that we get the subpoena from the BIR?
Second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. The BIR, upon our assurance that we're going to check them in executive sessions and so that we will know, because a lot of cars were bought